Hello, I'm going to quickly tell you in like 5 minutes how the Pyramid of Egypt worked. The pyramid had aquifers underneath, which, like rubbing your feet on the carpet, creates a triboelectric effect. And there's other electrical type rocks down there. Granite has 20% quartz crystal, so the whole pyramid is basically like probably 50% quartz crystal if you really like looked at what granite is made of and where it came from and stuff like that. So you're having hydrogen created in the bottom, cracking. There's lots of videos on how people figure that the hydrogen was made in the bottom, and then that hydrogen goes up through, and you have to study Wimshurst static electricity generators, because if we didn't have AC/DC, we'd spend a lot of time like rubbing our feet on the carpet and figuring out how we could have harnessed that, and that's sort of maybe the pathway that these guys took. So they have a pyramid that seems like a static electricity, a complicated static electricity device, just like the Syrian is a planar magnetron. So they would take this going up into the hydrogen would carry the electric charges. Hydrogen itself is more conducive than air by like 7 times. So it's carrying all these electric charges all the way up through, and the charges are changing as it's going from one place to the other. Like the Wimshurst generator changes the charges when you spin it. So they're bringing all the charges all the way up. They're funneling it up to the top of the pyramid, and the hydrogen is like it has a flow to it going up, and then when it gets to the top of when it gets to the ground gallery, it's stepped up and condensed. So the hydrogen's at its highest condensation up at the top, and then it's mixed with oxygen, diatomic oxygen, and energy, which they must have had some contraption up there. And there's scorch marks all on the top of the ground gallery. So I think that they were turning it back into. They were actually turning water into hydrogen, making it carry the charges all up the way up there. Then they were turning it back into water, and then it was raining inside the grand gallery. And you'd have to study drop generators, and then it was making drop generators carry the energy into the base of the grand gallery, where it would be funneled outside for whatever possible use. Now it wouldn't work in the off season because there wasn't any water going underneath the pyramid during the dry season, so they would have to have a backup method, which is where the Christopher Dunn's hydrogen in the Queen's chamber was sometimes used. They didn't do that all year round. They only did that in the off seasons. So I think that was like a backup system, or unless they wanted extra energy. And clearly inside the King's chamber, these sarcophagi contained chemical pressures, because, like I said, there's no reason to have in the Serapeum or the King's chamber. There's a secret door in the King's chamber. Just Google secret door King's chamber and you can read all about it. But these coffers would explode sometimes when they put too much pressure in them, or too much weight on top or whatever. So 80% of them had explosive damage in the corners, but they were filled with chemical pressure. And I read when the guy from University of Mississippi came up with that theory about the pressurized coffers. I think he said that they could generate pressures like 30,000 pounds per square inch with chemical pressures back then or something. But I don't know about that. But even any kind of squeezing with chemical pressures would squeeze some piezoelectricity out of it and add to this whole effect. So these were static generating machines. Like they didn't think of it as like AC/DC like we do. And they had light bulbs everywhere. They had mercury, and they had sand. They knew how to make glass. They could put mercury in glass and have a fluorescent bulb or noble lights. So they had neon lights. Cairo was called the City of Lights. Pyramid isn't actually a shape. Pyramid actually means fire in the middle. Pyr, P-Y-R, equals fire. Equals in, I guess. And mid equals middle. So pyr, mid. Fire in middle. There was a fire in the middle. That's Christopher Dunn's note, I think. But it's so obvious. Anyways, it's been 5 minutes, so good luck. Cheers.